Hello, Frank Conaway Jr. back again. Christian Kundalinian Science book. See this? We were just talking about the tetragrammaton in the Hebrew chart. And you might not be able to find the chart, maybe you can, but in my book, I tell you where you can find the chart. I tell you the book and the page number. Hopefully, this book will be available at my website bookstore, which should be www.spiritual shock, one word, no space.com. Okay. All right. So let's see. What were we talking about? We were talking about who owns the property and all of this here and all of that there. Let me say this about the pyramids. Oh, you want to know how the pyramids were made? Okay. If I can I tell you a little joke? Now, this is going to be a joke. This part of it's the joke. And this would be for people who are into Kundalini knowledge and pineal gland and pituitary gland and so forth and so on. You see, the Egyptians who were in Egypt, which is not in Africa, but is in Egypt, were so advanced with their psychokinetic abilities. Psychokinetic. Okay. Like the cone heads, that they were able to focus their mental telepathy to a point that their minds were able to bring into reality what they thought. And therefore, like you see, they have movies now where the people do things and they think. Well, in Star Wars, you see Darth Vader, Daleth, which is a Hebrew letter, Daleth, Vader, as in the Rig Vaders. See, they put the two things. Anyway, Rig Vader. The Rig Vaders are books. You do know that? No. Okay. So they put the two together. And he uses his mind to move things and control things. Yes. And that's what the Egyptians did. On the other hand, you could go to my website, www.spiritualshock.com, and look for this book that says An Enigma Solved. Hopefully it's secure and it goes through, I think, Amazon. Hopefully you order it through my site and then you'll go, oh. See, recently they had a show, and I think it was they explained explaining the world in 2 hours. And then when they get to Egypt, they say, well, you see, they start explaining this about the limestone, how valuable it was. And let me switch for a second before I say what I'm going to say. In some cultures, shells, like seashells, sea sandy down at the seashore picking up seashells. These seashells are very valuable. And then it's a movie. It's a movie that I like, and I'll try to get the title for you of the movie. And it's about the guy in his third eye and all of his hair. And the question in the movie is, does anybody remember where Shell Beach is? Shell, Shell. So now here you go to Egypt, and now keep in mind that they say this limestone, which they must have gotten from millions of miles away, wherever, right? Right? I want you to stand back and look at this for a minute and follow. They got this limestone from millions of miles away, thousands of miles away. You can't cut it. They didn't have modern tools. So how did they quarry it? Okay. Now guy goes, and you can see in the limestone there's seashells, right? Follow for a second. And then there's Egypt, this desert that's near the Nile, that's near the water that floods. The water comes up. So in modern time, when water comes up from out of a stream or the ocean or river, anything that was in the river, such as cans, plastic bags, bottle caps, comes on the ground. Would I be too far off to say if water came up out of the ocean, and seashells and stuff like that would be on the sand, which we used to call that a beach, but it's an extended beach, so now it's a desert, and maybe it was a beach and they built this big beach house, which you call a pyramid, and it got so hot that it burns up all the ground or something. Or maybe some of the technology is saying that they can prove that the water level has fallen because the poles shift. The planet's supposed to be able to flip over. I didn't come up with this. That's what they tell me. So the water table is down. Okay? The water table is down. So basically, you've taken the water off of the beach and off of the water line. The water line is receding. Okay? Where are all the shells? An enigma solved. The man says, look at these limestone blocks and you can see the shells. Wow. I need to write this down. So I think I'm going to call this one Egyptian seashell. Yeah. I hope you can bear along with me. Right. So now, that's going to be very interesting. But it's not interesting. What's interesting is the reason why they keep saying this to you. So you say, well, what about the math? Because I have books. Whoa. Oh, I talk about pi, phi, e, and the square root of -1. How about that? So they're saying in the pyramid complex, there's pi, phi, e, the square root of -1, and several other mathematical formulas. So follow along with me. I'm going to be you, and you be me. I'm going to ask me, which is me, but I'm going to ask you because you're me. No, I'm just having fun. So I'm going to ask you, well, what about pi, phi, e, and the square root of -1? The answer that I'm going to give you is How did they get those stones all the way up there? I mean, our cranes can't even lift the stones. How did they get those stones all the way up there? See, in Diamonds Are Forever, the lady says, James, how are we going to get those diamonds back down here? They're up in the satellite. See? So he's throwing you off all the time. That's not the question. That's not the question. The question is, 4,000 years ago, who was dealing with pi, phi, e, and the square root of -1? How do the Egyptians know about the speed of light? The Egyptians know about the speed of light. They have a well that they've proven. Based on this well, they knew how far the sun is away. They knew how long the speed of light took to get here. Actually, in a strange kind of way. See, now we're getting good. We're getting to it now. In a strange way, you're living in the past, because it takes the sunlight anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes. It varies who you talk to. Let's say 7. Let's go with our circle in a 7. So, if the light takes 7 minutes to get here from the sun, see, if something happened, if a solar flare let loose, a solar bleep, you wouldn't know about it until 7 minutes after it happened. That means that in a strange way, you're living in the past. Right. You're cosmically living in the past. Now you're getting into your cosmic metaphysics. See you shortly.